Hello everybody, happy Monday. So let's do another talk where we talk about the astrology of the week. It's not as dramatic as last week was, because remember last week Saturn in Aries, a whole bunch of stuff coming up. This week we're talking about the Sun in Gemini and Mercury in Gemini, plus first quarter, I think a first quarter moon. So what does all this mean? Gemini is more adaptable when it comes to anything. So like the Sun in Gemini typically means that we're going to be a little bit more motivated, more sociable, more intellectual, and more curious about the world around us. Not just the world around us, but how things truly work. So while last week we were deep in our feels, deep in what felt like a serious retrograde, and some of us thought we were going crazy, this week the path is clearer, and it may not be totally clear because remember, Saturn in Aries, we have 3 months of digging up all our past stuff and trying to let it go, but at least we're in a better spot this week. And by better spot, it's just, we're curious about everything that's around us. We're curious about where we've been. So maybe over the last couple of days, and I've noticed for me, over the last couple of days, we're more curious about the things that have happened to get us where we currently are at. And that's both good or bad. Like, you could have been totally sitting in your own feels over the last couple of days and going, either A, what did I do wrong? Or B, what do I not have to do again? How do I make my life better and not fall into the same trap over and over and over and over again? And it feels like both the Sun in Gemini and Mercury in Gemini is doing this, because we see both sides of the coin. It's not just simply, I'm looking at this, it's bad, or I'm looking at this, it's right. It's looking at it, it's like, all right, so whatever bad might have happened still got me to this place. Whatever good is happening, it's getting me to express myself in a different way. It's getting me to understand that the things that may have happened in my life don't define who I am, where I'm going, or me as a person. What defines me is the way that I decide to live my life. And that's basically the thing that you have to understand. Like, your past does not define you, right? Our past and who we once were does not define where we're going or what we are doing or what we will be continuing to do in the next 20, 30, 40 years. What you're doing right now sets you up for everything that you want in life, right? And even so, Mercury in Gemini is, again, communicative. We're talking more about who we are. We're talking more about the good and the bad. We're talking more to ourselves about what we will allow and what makes sense to us. And we may be talking to other people, but there's one more thing that we have to not worry about, but understand. Venus is in Aries. So with Venus being in Aries, as well as Saturn being in Aries, we kind of want to be spontaneous. We're not trying to plan out the future. Well, while we could be communicative and understand both the yin and the yang sides of us, we're not exactly looking for a place to go with it. We're more spontaneous in how we love, but how we love ourselves. We're also more direct about what we do care about and how we want to be taken care of. So Venus in Aries is definitely just a way to get us to express our love language, ourselves more, and that could be for ourselves, for other people, or for our path forward. Let me know if any of this makes any sense. It's a shorter communication this week, simply because we're not all going through it, and I really do like the idea of talking about the good and the bad of things. Like, when anything is in Gemini, it definitely feels like the twins. Gemini, the twins, can be good or bad. It's the way you look at it, right? It's not simply, something is simply not good, nor is it bad. It is how you are looking at it. And we can look at anything from a polarizing point of view, and we can look at something from a positive point of view. If you're supposed to learn something from it, it could be both at the same time. So I would say this week, be open, be communicative, be ready for things to change in maybe a dramatic way, and maybe something you thought had ended is no longer ending, it's actually beginning. Maybe something that you have told yourself over and over and over again finally sees the light of day, and you realize, oh, this was not right to begin with. I no longer need to really think or feel this way, and it's time to move on from something that may have been weighing me down. And that is the second half to Saturn in Aries, which, like, all this stuff is coming to the surface, and we're focusing on it, but we're not focusing on getting rid of it. And maybe at this point it's like, all right, I see it, it's valid, or it was valid for where and what I was doing at the time, but now it's time to move in a different direction. Now it's time to feel better, to feel differently, to let go of the things that I've held on to for so long because I wanted to be safe, I wanted to be secure. Your issues of safety and security might be, and they might actually be coming up, but you won't know what, where, how, and when until you actually start talking with yourself or revealing things that have kind of you kept under the surface for a while. So with that in mind, I'm done talking. It's a shorter talk this week, but we're gonna do a tarot card reading for the week. So let's see what's going on. Sorry, I stopped and totally started. So here's what we get. We get the Seven of Discs reversed, we get the Prince of Discs, and we get, honestly, the Art card. Think of it this way. If something wasn't working, it doesn't mean it's a no, it doesn't mean it's a never. It just means that you found some way to not do something in the wrong way. Just because you're seeing or feeling like you're held up or things are a little bit slow does not mean that you should automatically say no to yourself or no to something or no to an idea. The slowdown of something means that you are being redirected, and we're being redirected in various and dramatic and beautiful ways, especially this week. So just because you may have lost track of something, you may have lost the idea, or you may have actually lost oomph for something, does not mean that it's time to give up on it. What it means is look in a different direction and feel it. So what I mean by that is maybe there's something you're missing this week. Maybe there's something that you have to take a look at again, and maybe there's something that you have to bring in. And you can't do that by focusing on what isn't working. Focus on what is working, focus on the yes that's around the no, and focus on what your heart is saying, because your mind this week is still gonna try and overthink everything, and we're still gonna be kind of, not deep, but we're gonna be in our feels enough to understand that maybe I'm not making the right decision for myself at this moment, and maybe I do need to take a step back and look at the project as a whole, my feelings as a whole, my life as a whole, and make an informed decision to move forward. Like I said, nothing is failing, nothing is not working. It's only held up because you're looking at a small part of your life and going, well, this little snippet doesn't seem to work. So the universe is asking you to step way back, and instead of looking at that big, small little snippet, look at the big structure of it. Like, you know, a year timeline, and go, where did you lose track? Was it really here, or was it somewhere way down the line? And you don't necessarily need to redo anything over again, but you do need to go back to that little juncture and start realizing, oh, maybe I did do something that I shouldn't have done, and I just have to fix it. And it's just that easy. Nothing is a no, nothing is a never, nothing is so bad that you're gonna have to start all over again. But if you are willing to go back to, you know, not even the start, if you're willing to go back to something and rethink it and re-understand, what you get is the idea of, like, of new ideas, or an idea that presents more motion and more feeling and more ideas. An idea presents an idea, go figure. but an idea that presents more validity than what it normally used to have done. So this week, take some time. You know, we're not out of the woods yet, and we're trying to talk and we're trying to communicate with ourselves and other people, and we're trying to figure out where things might have gone awry. And if you focus on why, then it's not really going to happen. But if you focus on the where might have things gone awry? Where might have I been hung up a little bit? Focus on the where, and you'll find exactly what you're looking for. We're never going to figure out the why, because the why doesn't matter at this point. It happened and it's out of our control, but the where matters most, because that is the space where you realize I could do something differently from that point on and be totally fine. If it's just a redirection in my mind, a redirection in processes, redirection in how fast I went, what I overlooked, figure that out and you'll be fine. This week, let everything come. Let everything be. Let everything just be in this moment, and realize that you are the center of your universe, and that is all that matters in this moment. Anyway, I will talk to you later.